For ableism, the model is trapped in a fisherman's net. It tells the story of someone who is feeling trapped by not her disability, but by the stigma, by this idea placed on her that she needs to be treated a certain way, handled a certain way, that that she's different than everyone else. So she feels the stigma of ableism, of being treated differently, the discrimination as someone who, in this case, the woman's story was about her being hard of hearing, that makes her feel trapped and limits her in her search for love and marriage.
Yeah, we have a lot of ableism in our society, for sure. Like, I think Muslims, the minute they see someone who has, different types of abilities, or, has any kind of like hearing impairment or a speech issue or a physical ailment of some sort, they just like knock them right out of the running.
Hello, my name is Sada. I'm 33 years old, and my occupation is a supervisor for a small clinical laboratory. I'm hard of hearing. I wear cochlear implants, and I've been diagnosed with hearing loss since I was 4. With the Salams, I generally kind of like in the same vein. Being a Muslim woman in the first place is always also relatively difficult. Being a Muslim woman with a disability is slightly more. So, going to Jummah prayers, or going to Eid prayers, or even Tarawih at night during Ramadan, those are all things that my family collectively did as a whole, but it was really difficult for me to find actual meaningful enjoyment because, despite, speaker systems and everything, it was just hard for me to follow what was being said and really hard for me to really understand, what discussions people are having. Being in these areas where, there are no services or accessibility options for somebody who is hard of hearing has really made it difficult for me to form a meaningful connection with Islam. People hear the word hard of hearing, they're just like, oh no, I don't want anything to do with somebody like that, no matter how good their hearing is or whatever. I think it's definitely been really difficult, relatively speaking, just trying to figure out when and how I should bring up the hard of hearing thing if I'm meeting somebody. If I'm doing it face to face, it's really not a difficult conversation for me to have. I'm usually upfront about it. I've come to terms with my hearing. I've come to terms with what my limitations are, relatively speaking. But it's definitely, I think, nobody has ever said it to my face, but I think it's definitely something that people just don't want to deal with.
And I'm a matchmaker. And I facilitate between people a man and a woman who want to get married, and, try to match and facilitate and look how that's going to work out and make sure that they are a good match for each other. People, they're searching online and they try to, find someone, question, what do I do? I'm not sure I understand. What does that question mean? I'm looking to find out, what does that word mean? What is so they find my website and contact me and say, look, can you help? Can you connect me and understand by FaceTime what these questions are asking? And can you explain it to me?
It's hard for me to listen to what's being said, and especially in going to Quran classes or taking Arabic classes or anything like that, when your hearing comes into play, it's just a lot more stressful when people don't know how to accommodate your disabilities, and it makes me really feel like you are not part of the ummah, relatively speaking, because people aren't making space for you.
My husband is a hearing person, and I'm deaf, so that's a challenge. Wow. He didn't know anything. He didn't know any sign language. He didn't know how to lip read. He didn't know anything, but he wanted, I had to figure out, what is he saying? I had to look at him, watch him, and say, please, look at me when you speak, and, I need to look at you. I can't understand what you're saying, and it wasn't hard. It was hard. It wasn't fair for me, he would learn a little bit, but, his signing wasn't expert, and it wasn't easy, and he couldn't move his hands in the right way. I had to learn to speak more and use my language and practice, and so we found, a happy medium where I was communicating with some English language, and he was using some signs once in a while, but the communication was hard, but eventually it became successful. And we're married for, 33 years.